Welcome back, Who Popped Your Culture episode.
WPYC.
Is the 6th month? Yeah, 6.
I can't believe we've been doing this for 6 months.
Half a year, and we've only had to put out 6 episodes, which is nice. That's the one good thing about this podcast. It's more research than it is actual productive work, which is nice considering it's like movies. Just watch movies or read things on the internet.
It's like, why don't you do something productive with your recreation? Will you?
I'm working here. Yesterday I was watching Heavyweights again, and Tommy asked me how many times this week I was going to watch that movie. I said as many times as I feel like it, because it's a great movie. He likes it too, which that's one thing about that movie that I like, because it's Disney, so it's it's family friendly, but there's a lot of adult.
That is a generational bridge for sure.
The 90s was a different time. A lot of those jokes I don't think would have flown in a Disney movie today.
No.
But anyways, so this month, I guess we should say what we're talking about, and then we can
maybe
talk, the merch. This month we're going to camp. Summer camp.
Hell yes.
So whether it's stories about time at a camp, or like I never personally went to a summer camp. I was always busy in the summertime. But I have stories that I can share about camp like things that I did in the summertime, and the movies, the pop culture aspect of it behind it.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I only went to camp 2 times. Both times was Boy Scout camp, and the experience was nothing at all like the movies, naturally.
No, it never is.
But it, like, I don't know, camp was it's still permeates media,
right?
Like specifically, obviously for kids. Like you don't see a whole lot of camp movies for adults now.
Wet Hot American Summer's probably the only one I can think of.
Well, right, and they were
they were playing
was,
kids.
That whole thing was them lampooning camp movies.
Yeah.
But it, like,
before we get into it,
it was everywhere.
Let's plug the merch site.
Yeah, mudamerch.com, mudamerch.com. To get all of your Who Popped Your Culture merchandise,
along with other stuff,
along with a few other things that I've cleaned up recently. I've removed a couple of shirts.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What you were afraid I wouldn't sign off on them? Or?
Oh, I didn't remove those. They're still there, buddy.
What did you remove?
Oh, I removed some spicier content. But...
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you were like worried that I'd be like, I'm the creator. Blah, blah, blah.
No.
I would never do that. You have free range.
Those are all
for the most part.
Yeah. If it's fun, it's on there.
Yeah.
If it might offend.
Well, I mean, we do have our 4 Horsemen merch on there as well.
Right. But either way, by mudamerch.com, support the show. And they're usually pretty fun, I would say. I like the designs.
And also, I'm sure if you are a podcaster yourself, or you're into like graphic needs, I'm sure Muda would. I mean, obviously for a nominal fee.
Oh,
but absolutely. I'm sure Muda would give his
pay window, baby.
Services. Hit him up on Twitter,
on the old twit box.
Or I've never mentioned it. You can email the show, poppedyourculture@gmail.com. Just Popped Your Culture. Who Popped Your Culture was too long of a fucking address for an email. So poppedyourculture@gmail.com. Email the show. Send us some questions or some stories. I'd like to be able to, like, especially with this episode, like if people have summer camp stories that they don't, obviously they might not have the platform to share it on, but I'd love to read some. Like on air, like for the next episode, we could open up with like a follow-up to this.
Yeah.
People send in their summer camp stories. And I mean, even if they're made up, it would just be fun to have some spicy stories.
For sure.
Because
And
this show is not for kids.
no, absolutely not.
And I made sure that every time I post that I click that explicit because
because it's gonna be.
Yeah. It always is.
And ultimately too, especially as we round out year one, I would personally like to start doing more, just to put more out there, you know. And if we do a, you know, time obviously being the issue, or like our time, the time that we have to do these things, I would like to do some streams and things like that where we can, you know, answer viewer / listener questions.
Yeah, and I love your idea of, you know, the late night live streams on YouTube, because a lot of people get on YouTube late at night on the weekends and just, I mean, you can randomly stumble upon a live stream.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to follow, subscribe, or whatever they do on YouTube. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You just go to the live section and you've got, you know, a live talk show or, you know, podcast or whatever at 3:00 in the morning.
Yep.
Which is, it's cool. And I mean, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Yeah. And it's my time, man. That's me. That's like, I'm a night owl. I work nights.
Yeah.
You know, and we had nothing else to go. Everybody else is asleep. So
I have a feeling before sooner or later, my weird weekend schedules will change. So it will probably work out sooner than later. By the end of the year, I would say definitely yes. I think the boss has until December, and then she can move to the other job that she's went to school for.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So that's that. There's your housekeeping.
And a Patreon at some point also.
Yeah. We'll get there. 6 months. Hey man, I didn't think we'd make it this long, honestly.
I would say probably December, beginning of the year, next year, January, we'll fire up the Patreon. See what we can get. I'd like to build it a little more. And I feel like 6 more months, maybe we'll at least get a taste of what we're doing. Great as far as audio. YouTube could be better. But then again, it seems like every time we put out a video on a topic, every other YouTuber that does what we do does that same topic.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing is we're not doing it like, I mean, summer camp, I guess that would be June.
Yeah.
But like May was Golden Girls, and I saw a slew of fucking videos about Golden Girls that came out either a couple of days before us or after us. Like, what the fuck? And it was the same with Back to the Future. It was Turtles.
I suppose we could say with some degree of accuracy that we've got our fingers on the pulse.
Yeah, we have a good idea of what we need to be doing.
But it's all accidental. Mm-hmm. It's just like, what does this month feel like?
But our show isn't as
like esoteric as shit.
We're not as like worried about statistics, and I mean, we get shit wrong and we get called out on it, and that's fine. If I fuck something up, I'd rather get called out on it.
Oh shit, yeah.
That way I can correct myself. But also, we don't write a script. There's no notes, and I mean, I don't think I've ever made notes for this show.
No, I like lists. I've just made a list.
Yeah, a list. Yeah, that's it. When we do like a top 5 or 10 or whatever we did. But yeah, other than that,
and that's why our YouTube is floundering. To be perfectly honest with you,
yeah,
you have to hammer YouTube with content in order for it to go anywhere.
Yeah, and once a month isn't enough. Yeah, I need to start clipping stuff again, like we talked about.
And that's pretty much it, honestly.
Because even Heels and Quads, our YouTube is fucking in the shitter again too.
Right.
And there for a while we were running pretty hot for a nobody.
If we did more regular, so if it was weekly and this long, we'd be fine.
Yeah.
But it's once a month, so it gets buried by the algorithm already, and then it's also long, so people are just like, oh, fuck these guys.
Yeah. So and I think that's why it does better on the audio side, because you can listen to it when you're on your way to work, you can listen to it when you're on your way home. Yep. You can kind of just you can come back to it.
Yep.
And it's right where you left off. So it's not as difficult as YouTube. Plus you don't have to listen to ads and shit because ours is ad free everywhere. So that's nice.
Yeah. And
For now.
I know. We'll get there. We'll get there.
For now, it's ad free.
Right.
But when we start a Patreon, you always get it ad free and probably a day early, like most places. But anyways, let's go to camp.
Let's go to camp. Growing up when we did, as per the usual, I mean, that's considering that is the theme, really.
That is this podcast. It's just us reliving childhood,
flicking the nostalgia bean,
if you will.
Yeah. It camp and camp-like things were everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was almost a guarantee there was going to be a summer camp movie from like 1979 or so, like all the way up into the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, and it started to taper off there for sure. But in the 80s, especially, holy shit. Like, and that's where, that's what Wet Hot American Summer was lampooning, was the 80s, and they nailed it.
Well, I mean, Friday the 13th, that's based on a fucking summer camp.
Exactly. And but like, I mean, going back, and I don't think Meatballs was the first one. Again, just to
it couldn't have been. I mean, that was 79, so
right. To reiterate, we do no fucking research. We just other than watching movies that we love. But like I think that was the first like big hit of a summer camp movie, and then it was just off to the races. And like between the kid summer camp movies and then the weird adult summer camp movies, and then the horror movies and things like that, and then you've got it now, like even well, actually I don't know, because I don't pay attention to the Disney Channel, but I know like up until 04, 05, like there was almost always a camp TV show.
There was one
channels.
I know my kids watched up until I want to say like 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember the name of it. I think it was on Nickelodeon, maybe Disney, but I think it was on Nickelodeon. I don't know, because I would just kind of like, oh yeah, turn this on, whatever. You guys do whatever, and I'm gonna play on my phone or listen to music.
Right. But it was like it wasn't even so much a rite of passage. You're looking at it time-wise or whatever. It was a vacation for parents.
Yeah.
You learn things. Yeah. Almost guarantee. You're like thrust into this thunderdome of children, which is bound to also result in some bad times. But then it's kind of like the trench buddies, like trench brotherhood. You're thrown into the trenches together, and you have to suffer this thing for a time. And obviously, camp is not war, but
I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of like
when you're a kid, it can be.
It's
especially if you're not popular.
Only in the sense of like the cafeteria moments. It's very school, prison, military.
Absolutely.
You go to like the, get your slop or whatever. Which like I said, in the beginning, I've never been to camp, but I know kids that did, and
they wake you up.
You kind of have the idea of what it is, even not going. But I want to hear your camp stories from when you went. But I just want to say, like, I never got to go because like space camp, didn't get to do that. Wanted to do that, thought it would be cool as fuck. Too expensive. No way it's happening. Not only that, but then like stuff like when I was in high school, even like I was in German class and I took 3 years of German. And at the end of the third year, the summer, you go to Germany. Did I get to do that? No, because it's too fucking expensive. Mm-hmm. But also because I played sports, I played baseball, I played, summer basketball, football fired up in August. And that was back in the days when we had 2-a-days where, you were out there all fucking day in the heat. Yep. But also not only that, but I also went to stay with my dad for 2 months out of the summer.
Sure.
So, and I'm at my mom's 10 months out of the year. I'm at my dad's 2.5 months out of the year for the summer. So that time was always, I got to do stuff that's, based around my dad because I don't get to see him. Yeah. So that's really mainly why I never got to go. So my summer camps were going to like Action Park.
Yeah.
And shit like that. Deviant shit. and like, Six Flags, different amusement parks, stuff like that, going to like wrestling shows and concerts. But so I never got that camp experience, and I'm kind of, I'm gonna live vicariously through you on this one.
I mean, like mine aren't even all that. Like it is the biggest story to tell is that I went to Boy Scout camp twice and accomplished nothing twice. Like
what age?
The first one was I was like young. I was in
Young.
elementary school, and if I'm not mistaken, we actually wound up leaving early. Like we were there for like 3 days.
Wow.
And we were supposed to be there for a week, because we had to share camp with these fucking Hills Have Eyes kids. Like for real. They were like, we were like, and me, I am a, like, I generally refer to myself as some weird suburban hillbilly wizard. And like, so like, I'm no stranger to fuckery.
Yeah.
And like just being backwoods, that's my heaven.
Right.
Like, leave civilization in the rear view and just fucking get out there.
You'd love my house.
Yeah. But these kids that we were like, the troop that or Dan or whatever, because I think it was Cub Scout at that point. But the den that I was in was fairly clean cut. All very suburban people. No wild ones going on there. Very tame.
Yeah.
And boring, largely. But we had fun. We had a couple of comedic killers in that group, so it was always fun to be around. So it wasn't too boring. But as soon as the adults went away, we had a good time.
Yeah, but it sounds like it was more like the conversations you had versus the shenanigans you got into.
Well, right. We'd all just kind of sit around in a circle and make each other laugh or whatever.
Right.
And poke fun and whatever. It's all good. But man, these kids that we were with the first time, like, they were like just savages. Absolute savages. And like the Hills Have Eyes moniker is especially good because one of the kids had webbed toes.
Oh
yeah, so we were like, I feel like it was an apt moniker.
I went to school with a kid that didn't have a belly button. Like, there was nothing there. Weird. Yeah, it was fucked up.
If only you knew about Rocky Horror at that age.
No, I did.
It was in high school. So yeah, we just called Rocky Horror all the time.
Because I probably first saw that movie in like probably 3rd, 4th grade.
That's a decent childhood right there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it was a different time, like we said.
Yeah. So they were, I mean, and when I say they were savages, I mean they were like fucking like throwing rocks and sticks at our fucking tents. Like it was just canvas.
They have Bigfoot?
Like no cabins or anything like that. So they were just like big canvas tents that were put up on wooden platforms,
right?
And with bed, like, cots and shit in there. And so like we're sitting there and we're like in our tents or whatever, getting ready to go.
Like, you're in MASH or something.
And then the next thing you know, like all of a sudden we just got fucking like rocks and shit falling on it, and literally like fucking putting holes in the tent.
Ah, that's dickery.
And at which point, the den mother, like, fucking, she hauled ass down to the camp director's office and was like, "What the fuck is this shit? Who are these kids and why are we with them? Can we move camp? And if not, how fast can you give us our fucking money back? Because this is bullshit."
Yeah, get these kids out of here.
Yeah.
And what if it fucking rains?
And the director was just like, "There's nothing we can do." And we're like, "All right, bye. We'll send you we'll be expecting our refund like post haste."
Yeah, and I don't want any of that prorated shit. Give me the full fucking thing.
And I don't know, and I don't know how it happened. I know my mother was pissed when we pulled up like 4 days early.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And they're like, "We left. It was bad." I'm like, "I didn't know." I was like, I think it was Christ's sake. I think it was like 9.
Like, "Mom, I just came home from work. Can't you be happy to see me?"
Yeah. And then the next time was quite a few years later. It was like, I think it was like 12 or 13.
That's
And
a
that
good
was
camp
actually
age.
that was a good experience.
Yeah.
It was a good troop. We didn't have to share it with anybody, so I had my reservations, obviously, and I went actually surprisingly after because when I switched schools between elementary school and middle school, but I still wound up in the same troop as a couple of the guys that I was a Cub Scout with.
So you knew a couple of people. It wasn't
right.
like,
And I mean, and I'd already known this group a while at that point, but like the den mother from when I was a Cub Scout, her son was in it, and so his father came on the trip with us. And man, that was the first time, and I've been trying to recreate this Spam dish ever since. Like he just made like these like fried potato and Spam sandwiches. He was Chinese, like straight off the boat Chinese, and like this guy, yeah, he just sat there and he was sitting there cooking these like fried, like deep fried potatoes and Spam little like finger sandwiches, and they were the coolest thing in the world. And all I've wanted to do ever since is recreate them. But Spam is it's a no-go in my house.
No,
for now. This will change.
I don't mind a good Spam sandwich every once in a while. A little fried spamage.
Yeah, fry it up. It's great. Cold, that's gross.
Yeah, cold's gross. It's jelly. It's got jelly around it. You got to fry that off.
So, the first time I went and I accomplished nothing because we weren't there for the whole time. And then the next time I went and I accomplished nothing because I just wanted to be a social butterfly. I never had a good camp experience. So I was just like going around just trying everything. I think I wound up with like 3 merit badges, while everybody else in my troop like left with like 12.
Yeah.
It was
Purple
like
hearts.
metalworking, woodworking, and leatherworking were the 3 that I did, because that was the only 3. They're all done in the same. It is. But like I didn't realize, or no, I wasn't old enough. I wasn't old enough to do rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that was the first time I ever shot a gun, or like a real one. So that was it. Like, it was a great camp. It was an absolutely great camp, and it was like big. It was beautiful. It's on a great big lake. The only negative aspect of it is I did next to nothing. I literally just went around and I hung out. Like, I found the counselors that I liked, and I would go and I would essentially like audit their classes or whatever and ignore mine. And I also didn't know that I had to sign up. Like, there's a lot of
sign up for like the different activities.
Yeah, I didn't realize that you had to sign up, so I didn't sign up, and it was too late. So I just go and do it. I just couldn't get credit for anything.
Right.
So it was weird. I enjoyed it. I later found out that God damn it, I keep hitting this fucking cord. My best friend, best man at my wedding and everything, he went to the same camp, and it was usually like, because it was all, they generally went it was like regional. The slots, like they would like pull kids in from all parts of the state, but they would kind of like rotate. So like his troop was based 8 miles north of where mine was, and like, so we went, and then his troop would go the next week.
Gotcha.
All right, like, so it was weird, and then I don't understand why they wouldn't put, like, just send them all at the same time. Like,
just
in the region, so that way you could build the community, like the local community of Boy Scouts, whilst also introducing them to people from farther away, just for the whole camp experience. But it was all good and fun. And then like just camping in general with that group was pretty cool. We had a guy who had one of the guys. His father was an officer at West Point, so he used to get us into football games. Like, we'd go to a West Point football game, and then one time in particular, he got us, like, I don't know if it was just a slow time on the campus, but he got us into the weapons training. So they have all this, like, first, before they ever give you a real live fire weapon, they have it all hooked up to CO2 and shit, and it's just like a big video game, like a shooting gallery video game. Yeah, it was cool, man. Like, all my camping experiences, even the shitty ones, have all like wound up, like, even like the last real one that I had was harrowing, and it was like, it all, like, never made better friends. Like or never either strengthened my friendships better than like suffering. It's amazing how that works, but I love it. And it was never none of it was ever like the movies, which sucks.
Yeah.
Because that's all, like, I mean, growing up in the 80s and the early 90s, we have expectations and they were never met. Fucking
like you're like, where's all the 16-year-old counselors that put out, man?
Right?
I mean, as a 12, 13-year-old kid, that's what you're thinking going
It's
in.
exactly what you're thinking. And like that's the thing. Just like, we're all like, go to Boy Scout camp. Like, where's all the girls?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, it's Boy Scout camp. Yeah. Shit. There was like two. They were like the camp director's daughters, and they weren't.
For fucking 10 minutes, you look around, you go, oh, this is what I signed up for, huh?
Like, oh, jackass. Like, fucking, and just the disappointment and all that. And like, that's because when we get into the movies, like, I'm gonna pull in, because obviously we're gonna spend way more time talking about heavyweights than anything else. It's
absolutely,
it's hands down both of our favorite camp movie,
without a doubt.
Like, it has to be. And I think after after Meatballs, I think it might be like the best actual like camp movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, not just like for us, because it was the perfect time for us, when how old we were when we saw it for the first time, and like when it came out and all that shit.
I want to say I saw it in the theaters, honestly.
I don't know if it ever had a theatrical release, honestly.
Did it not?
Yeah, like we wound up
maybe
with
not.
We wound up with it in one of those, like, the puffy Disney VHS things.
Yeah, I know. I owned it, but
yeah, I had no idea what that movie was.
Yeah,
like when we got it, and then we watched it. I'm like, this is amazing. Rewind it and play it again.
Just put it on loop.
Yeah, and but I'm gonna pull in things like even like Great Outdoors.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It is not it's not a traditional camp movie, but it is camp is not a whole summer.
It was released theatrically, but it only made 17.6 million.
Interesting. Yeah, I had no idea. No idea that it.
So it was a box office flop, but obviously got its run in Blockbuster and Hollywood Video and.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely did.
Your local, whatever, Family Video, whatever they're called.
And but like, camp is an entire summer rolled into a week, maybe two.
Yeah.
That is what camp is. You pack, you jam pack, like freaking kimchi. You jam pack an entire summer worth of toil, strife, emotion, joy, and sexual tension into a week to 2 week period. Like, that's what it's about, except for at Boy Scout camp.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't go to camp. I didn't have those camp experiences, but my summers were still, because usually I was the outsider coming in,
right,
to whatever situation I was in. So there were a few years, especially after 9/11, where I didn't go visit my dad because it was kind of worrisome as far as flying. My mom was super weird about it. I was fine with it. I felt safe, but moms. So
yeah.
And with the heightened security and everything, it seemed like it would be too much for a kid my age, especially the things I was doing then and interested in. It seemed like a bad idea to just ship me off to the airport and be like, have fun at your dad's for 2.5 months. I hope I see you again. Because I wasn't the best at calling home when I was at my dad's. I was pretty bad about it, and now I feel guilty about it. But anyway, so there was a few years where I didn't go, but like I would go. My grandparents lived; they're both gone now, obviously, but they lived about 45 minutes south of where I live, and there's like caverns and a creek or multiple creeks and stuff like that, and campsites. So we would go there, and like my cousins would come up from Texas, and we would get a couple of campsites and like just kind of roam around for a week. which was cool because you met people from out of
Yeah.
state and you form friendships with people that you never gonna see again in your life.
Yeah.
Or maybe you would see them the next summer when their family came to camp again. But like it was always like, oh my god, like me and my guy cousins would like, oh man, did you see that girl over there? I'm gonna try to get some. It's like at that point in your life, it's like, how are you gonna get some when you're sharing a tent with your mom?
Yeah. Yep.
Your
imagination runs wild.
Oh man, it's running fucking wild. There's one set of bathrooms, there's a men's room and a girls' room, and you got your showers and stuff in there, and you're like, well, maybe we can meet outside of the bathrooms and sneak into one of the showers. It's like, so I was literally the most perverted person I've ever met in my life when I was a teenager. I mean, I was disgusting. I'm disgusted with myself at this point.
It's somewhat embarrassing to go back to.
Like, god,
to like analyze yourself as a pubert.
And now that I have teenage boys,
it's just like,
and I'm like, oh my fucking god, please don't be as gross as I was. Or a creep. But yeah, so like I would do that, and then when I did go back to my dad's, and even previous when I was going before 9/11, like, I mean, it was just like I was like the fucking outcast, like I was like Kevin Bacon in Footloose. I was the kid that's coming to party that really doesn't know anybody, but luckily me and my brother are only like 6 months apart. So we have this same grade, same age basically, so he would introduce me to his friends, and we'd go hang out with people that he knew, or even people that he didn't know but they knew, just different stuff, because where they lived, I guess I should say where we lived, because I did technically live there, but like it was on a lake, suburban New Jersey, and like houses everywhere, so we would just walk around. We'd walk around the entire lake, and like everybody that he went to school with, and I made friendships with these people because he knew them. So when I would come back every year, they're like, hey Tommy, I'd go stay the night. He'd go to his dad's that lived in New York, and I'd go stay the night with somebody that I'd made friends with that was his friend. So and even that, then it's like, oh man, tracking down dad's porno stash or whatever, it's just like, it was like summer camp for me. It was like extended, it was months of just me being a fucking little shit teenager, sneaking fucking cigs on the plane with me, not telling my dad, or even at that point, my mom didn't even know I smoked. But like I would always find somebody that could, buy me a carton of cigs before I went to Jersey, and I would take them with me. And at that point, they're not looking. It's not like it says my age on my fucking sticker on my suitcase. So doing that, and like just being a fucking shit, man. Seeing if I can, catch a glimpse of a nipple on the beach, just. And then there's Action Park, which was always a fucking blast. We'd go there, and the stories are fucking true. That place was it was a haven for kids because there was no fucking adults. Like I've told you before. We get dropped off. You're there all fucking day. Like from like 9 a.m. when they opened until like fucking 8 p.m. when they close. Cause I mean, they eventually have to close when it gets to a certain level of darkness, because that place was dangerous enough during the day. But, we're walking around smoking ciggies, talking to fucking girls. Like I'm 14, 15 and have full fucking chest hair. So I look like I'm fucking 20 something, even though I'm short, which I mean, now it doesn't matter, but you know what I mean? But I have the features of a child, other than I'm covered in chest hair. Cause then I was always clean shaved as a kid until high school. But like I'd be like, hey, what's going on? Like, you want to hang out? Let's go on this ride together. And she's like, I don't date guys with chest hair. And I'm like, you fucking bitch. Like, so I ended up meeting this lifeguard and hanging out with her. So like the end of the day or whatever, got her number. We made out, got her number, and like call her when I got home, and turns out she was a fucking psycho. Well, she might not have been a psycho, but her mom was a fucking psycho, like just screaming at her when she's on the phone. And I'm like, oh, this is not a good, this is not a good look. So it was a cool little hang a couple of times, and then it was just like, okay, I can't. I'm gonna eventually go back to Arkansas, so this, obviously it's not going anywhere. But I did get a lifeguard shirt from Action Park out of it, so that's pretty cool. Wish I still had it, or even knew where it might be. But yeah, I mean, that was basically the gist of mine. I mean, it was a lot of,
It's valid though.
Yeah, but
like
because it feels like summer camp, and then even
it's the feeling,
even that, when I would come home, because not usually I would try to stay up until the day before school started, which was a lot because flying in, and usually I would fly into like Memphis or something. Then that's a 4-hour drive home, so it would have to be an early flight. So usually I'd come home like a week before, or at least a few days. So then I'd have all these stories to share with my friends, before school even starts. And I'm like, oh man, you're not gonna believe this shit. Fucking tits on it, shit like that. And then, but then like the legend grows. Like I can't even like fathom how many fucking stories about me that were out there when I was a fucking middle school, junior high kid. I mean, like, it blew up. And like, I wasn't the most popular kid, but I had to be probably the most well-known person in the school because like everybody had a story about me. And it was kind of, it was kind of scary because I'm like, okay, that's not true. And then like the good ones that weren't true, I'd be like, oh yeah, totally.
Of course, naturally.
Yeah. But like, yeah, weird shit.
Yeah,
but
man.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's kind of the thing, and like bringing Great Doors into the fold, like it is, because it is more of a vacation of the era.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like go from the from the 70s all the way up to the pretty much when computers took over.
Yeah, especially teenagers, man. You're looking for summer love. Yeah. Maybe see a boob. Jesus.
I'll tell you what,
maybe get a handy.
That's specifically with Great Outdoors, man. I watched that movie so many times as a youth, and like that's it. I just wanted to find that I don't even remember her name, but the girl, the townie, from Great Outdoors. Like I was just like I that was palpable.
Yeah.
I had this similar.
Man, you're having mic issues today.
I am. I really fucking am. I think
it's like you're not coordinated or something.
No, I got a little bit of the shakes and from last. Yeah,
there's an arm here
from last night drinking, and
then
a little bit of the shakes from the caffeine that I'm putting in my face.
Yeah, that does.
But like, because it was much like yours, like other than those two experiences at an actual summer camp,
right?
We did very similar things as far as like my grandparents, they bought a camper that was permanently installed at a campground about 45 minutes into the like upstate New York wilderness.
Oh, that's a good time.
And
now, were the grandparents always there, or would it be like your parents would take you?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I was too young to go by myself.
Oh, okay.
But like we would, like I was.
This is early on.
Yeah, earlier on, like late middle school and like early high school and stuff, where it was like maybe I was perfectly capable of taking care of myself on my own, but it would like it wasn't
happening.
My brother and I, up to my grandparents to see my grandparents.
Yeah,
and then
we did that when I was young. It was your
typical campground, exactly how you described it. It's just a bunch of campers. You meet all these people. It started. I think that was when I started to I started to make better friends with old people than people my own age. Like while they were there, but my grandfather was just like, yeah, that guy over there, he's a World War II veteran. I'm like, I'm gonna hang out with him a little bit.
Yeah,
pick his brain. But and then it was way more old people than there was people my own age. But when they brought their grandkids, we'd all go up to the rec center and we, and that
All
was
hands are on
and
deck.
and all all hands on deck. Just sit there and daydream and imagine the possibilities.
Yeah.
But then in reality, it's like, you want to go play off road?
We saw they had a driving range over yonder.
Like that was it. Like that was the only game worth of shit. And in the rec center was off road.
Yeah.
The four steering wheel.
Yeah.
Stand up thing with the pedal on the ground and all that. But that and that was bingo. Bingo was like, that was how you really you get your grandparents playing Yenta. Like, and fucking like, oh, look at that one over there. You want me to talk to her grandmother for you? I'm like, probably not. That's embarrassing. But also, hey, if you feel so inclined.
Yeah. Hey, if you want, like, just find out what campsite she's at.
Yeah.
Just give me a number.
Yeah. But it's all that, it's just that experience that is largely gone now.
Because
forget about well, no.
I mean,
just in general.
Yeah, I think kids.
It's not as common as it used to be because
Camping.
back then, right? Camping,
in general.
but just like those kind of more like rugged, more. It's almost like a cheapskate vacation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that's the ultimate reason why I never went to a plain old summer camp. Like I didn't just get shipped off. Yeah, I didn't just get shipped off to summer camp because that shit's expensive.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, whatever, like the family vacation stuff like that, go out,
get a campsite for $10 a night or whatever.
Right. Or like rent a cabin on a lake somewhere along the way.
Go down the shore in Jersey. Yep. that was a cheap vacation.
I was
stay for a week.
Did a week at the Jersey Shore during a MTV spring break one time. That was fun. Like I learned
spring break was so much fun.
Learned what it was like to get stung on a dick by a jellyfish. That was fun. Yeah. In New Jersey water.
Yeah. Not the cleanest.
Wasn't sure if it was it was
jellyfish or
jellyfish or just the water.
Dirty needle.
Like it was the great experiences. And like I said, that it's the cramming of an entire summer's worth of experiences and feelings into a
small
days.
Amount of time. Yeah.
And then
I got a story. I got a story about the shore when you're done.
No, I was just saying, like it's that's why everybody's so fond about it, because it is like it's a rush of everything.
Yeah.
Like of the highs and the lows. Christ, especially during MTV spring break. It's the summer between my freshman and sophomore year.
Oh, that's the best time.
Dude, I was, a raging pubert.
And, you were definitely hot in a nipple.
And you got MTV girls running around. It's like, this is incredibly frustrating. Like physically.
I can't get out of the water.
Yeah, like it's
what are you
like,
stuck? I can't get out of the water right now. Just leave it at that, Ma.
It would be highly inappropriate for me to get out of the water right now.
It would be detrimental to your health, your mental health, if I walked out of this ocean right now.
Just gonna cruise down over here. I'm gonna hang out underneath the pier, huh? Okay. Out of view from everybody.
Yeah. Only the birds can see me.
Yep.
So anyways, real quick, probably my best Jersey Shore story. So I went, it was just a day trip, whatever, just quick. I think we went to Seaside Heights, and my aunt took me with a girl she worked with and her son, who was my age. So didn't know the guy, no prior history, like we never spoke, never seen each other, didn't know each other's names. So we get introduced in the car on our way. Cool, whatever. Come to find out, he didn't really like the same music I did, but also back then nobody's in my age, so it was okay. we can get past that. But we like same movies and stuff like that. So we had stuff a grounds we could talk on. So we get to the boardwalk, and they go lay out their blanket or whatever, and his mom and then my aunt gave me money and like, just, hey, you guys go have a day. So I want to say we're 15, maybe 16, and you just gave us a handful of cash, and you're like, go do whatever you want. So I'm like, okay. And then so we're walking up towards like the games and stuff, and he's like, hey man, you smoke cigarettes? I'm like, sure do. He's like, you got any on you? And I was like, no, I don't. And he's like, I do. And I was like, you're my fucking hero and now my best friend. I want to say his name is Derek. It just sounds like his name. Don't remember for sure, but we'll call him Derek for.
He seems like a Derek.
Yeah, he seemed like a Derek. Anyway, so wrap this up rather quickly. We did like mini golf and like follow girls around, creeps, 16, pack of fucking Newports, just hanging out at the Jersey Shore. So the weirdest thing that I've ever heard in my life, this is very graphic. So if you do have kids listening, please have them earmuff it for me real quick. But he goes, hey man, I bet that girl over there smells like fish. And I'm like, oh. I was like, dude, why would you even say that? That's so fucking nasty. He goes, no, man, that's not nasty. That's how you know they're fresh. And I'm like, you have been told the complete opposite of everything that I've ever learned in my life. So I will never forget that as long as I live. I just looked at him like, who told you that? So clearly I was in the lead as far as which I mean, at that point I was not a virgin, but I was like, no, that is not how it works. That means you stay away. So yeah.
We were animals, man.
But I just couldn't fucking believe that. Yeah.
We still are, but like, yeah, especially
we're converted animals now though. We
more or less.
We can be civil. We can be civilized when we have to be.
We learned how to turn it off, or well, make it look like it's turned off.
While under our breath, we're like,
yeah. It's just funny. It really is, and it's like it's in 2022. You look back on it, and you're like, ugh. Oh, I don't even know if we should be saying this.
I mean, I was a good kid. I was a good kid.
Children are terrible.
Yeah, I mean, but for the most part, like I was respectful and stuff when I had to be. But I mean, when parents weren't around, I was not respectful. I was a little fucking nasty ass little motherfucker.
You didn't
who literally probably tried to fuck somebody's mother at one point or another.
You didn't kill anybody, and you didn't commit any felony assaults of any kind. So can't be that bad.
No, I was never like ever like that.
We're all horribly fucked up in the head from age generally from age 10 to 38.
Yeah, I think that's some of my mental stress that I go through is like random flashbacks of when I was 12 to fucking 16. But even 17, like I mean, after the summer of when I was 16, so that would have been 2003, I was pretty well grounded as far as like I had a steady girlfriend all the time. I was never, out just chasing tail. I never cheated on anybody in my life. I was always just a good boy from then on. But I mean, I still, got drunk and, did other things that I shouldn't have done, or maybe I should have, who knows? But I mean, for the most part, that 12 to 16 was my fucking just little pervy, fucking gross, smelly fucking kid, because all kids fucking stink. I don't care what anybody says. If you're a teenage boy, you stink. It don't matter how many times you shower. Does not matter how much deodorant you put on. You put out so much fucking testosterone out in the ether that you're just smelly.
Right, because your body hasn't fucking learned how to regulate it yet.
Yeah, I'm still fucking.
It's just It just is what it is. It is how it is.
I just sweat way too much. But it doesn't stink. It just, I'm a sweaty guy. I'm hairy. Can't help it.
Yeah. Just perpetually moist.
I thought briefly you're going to get a kick out of this. The other night I was sitting there like just bored. And I was like, I think I'm going to shave my beard and just start anew. Like shave it completely, like clean. And then I was like, nah, I can't do it.
I remember when you did it by accident.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
I mean, but it wasn't clean. It was just short as fuck.
It was.
You could not tell. You could not tell I had a beard.
It was close to clean.
Like, it was pretty close.
Like saw way more of your face than I ever thought.
It was weird.
And it was weird.
I didn't like it.
You look like a little baby, rosy cheek.
My wife did not like it at all. She was very upset. And the funniest thing was when we met, she hated beards.
Yeah.
So it's weird, but it's weird. Like on Facebook memories, like going back and like looking at pictures like from when we first met, because I was always clean shaven. But I worked at a country club, so I had to be. And then and then after that, I have to have a beard. I don't have a strong chin. I'm not proud of my chin.
Mine is not. It's not strong enough for me to feel comfortable with a beard. And it'd be 115. Like it's summertime out here. This desert heat, man.
Yeah.
Like the high 90s, dry as fuck.
Yeah.
And, when I go out to Vegas and shit like that, I'm like all day long, but beard stays.
Yeah.
Coming off.
No, it can't come off. It can't. I think I don't know, man. I think it's as you get older, I feel like you should have to have a beard.
Just I feel like it should be like old man.
Yeah. Like issued at, I feel like after you, like say you go to college, which I didn't, obviously, but I feel like 25 and up, you have to have facial hair if you can grow it. If it doesn't, if it comes in wonky, don't bother, because it's trashy and it looks gross.
Just bide your time,
and you
eventually it will grow in gloriously. If
you attempt to have a beard or a goatee or whatever, and you can't do it, shave it off. Or if you don't, if you are currently employed, your employer should fire you on the spot because it's gross. I hate it. I cannot stand like a little, if it's a pencil fit, like if it's cleaned up, that's one thing. But if it's patchy, don't do it.
No,
it upsets me probably more than anything else in this world. I'm so happy I was blessed with good beard genetics.
Nice facial bracken.
Yes, my grandpa always had a fucking excellent beard.
Same with mine.
Yeah, my dad could, but he was a mustache guy. It was the time, the 80s,
Yeah, I've thought about it on many occasions.
I'd love to have just a mustache, but my wife would leave me
quickly. Yeah, quickly. It was just like, that's a horrible idea.
Yeah, my wife would walk out of the fucking house and never come back.
I've got a pretty spectacular mustache, but
it's solid.
If that's all,
I'd have to put Just for Men in mine, darken it up. It's too light for me.
But yeah, like it is to try and loop it back.
Yeah, sorry, we got off.
No.
I got off on a tangent.
It's all good. This has been good. Not for nothing. I didn't think we were going to get this far into it.
No, and I like
talking about.
I love telling stories where I feel like I'm cleansed after. I'm like,
I need to get this off my chest.
I don't have to hold this in anymore. Like
I've been
tell that
carrying this burden for too long.
20 years of this shit.
Oh, horrible! Like that's one thing anybody gets out of this podcast. It should only ever be that first and foremost, all children are terrible.
Oh yeah.
And we were children once, so we were terrible.
Yeah. And I love my kids. I love them to death. I'd do anything for them. Obviously, they're my kids, but they're little shits. They're gonna be little shits.
We don't continue on this planet as a species without them. But there's going to be a time where they are fucking monsters.
Yeah, and deviants, most likely.
Yeah. You know, like it's the age old, and it's like I almost feel like it's touching a hot stove, just like the hot stove of
Don't
life.
do it.
Like,
Yeah.
how far can I push this? How close can I get my hand to the burner? You know, and that's just like with like trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how far can I push this? And that's I think that's the majority of it. And like, you know, mischief is fun.
Yeah.
Man. Look at our fucking look at our text groups.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just mischief all the time.
We are kind of fucking still like shit teens in our text group. We're bad.
But
we're bad.
like I said, we can project the image of it being turned off and us being not necessarily stand-up human beings, but like functional in society. Like, you know,
I mean, we're trustworthy,
right? We'll go to, you know, we'll go to war for the people that we love.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then when it's over, we'll talk shit about them in our text group.
While we're camping.
It's right while we're camping.
Bring it back around again.
Bring it back around one more time.
Yeah, I kind of want to take my kids camping this summer. I wonder how that would go over. I wonder how it would go over. Because I mean, I'm talking camping. I'm talking tents. Where we go, there's no fucking cell phone service. Mm-hmm. You're off the fucking grid. Like you have to drive like 15 miles inward to get one bar, to maybe send a text message.
I think that's always good.
Oh yeah, I need it. I need to cleanse.
The removal, like essentially removing yourself from the clutter.
Yeah,
of civilized.
Not you or you guys, but just outside world.
No. I mean, even us. I just like remove you and your kids and like your family. Get out. And essentially, like, you just force yourselves to be with each other.
That's what I want to see. Like, I want to see if we could go 2 days, 3 days, 2 nights, 3 days, 2 nights. See if we can go that long without
it's a good
phones,
water,
tablets, TV, video games. Just fucking have to live like fucking cave people.
You know, like. Teach your kids, teach your sons to build a fire.
They know how to do that.
Oh, they do. All right.
They grill with me. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like,
like an actual
campfire. Fire.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Properly.
Yeah.
That stuff
without Dad's old beer boxes that he has to burn every once in a while.
You know, do the teepee or the log cabin and shit like that. Dude, show them how it works. But it like.
I don't know if anybody else is like that, but I have an abundance of old beer boxes that I have to like every couple of months, just like I'm burning beer boxes for like 4 days. And I'm like, holy shit, this is never going to make it in a trash bag.
And then, yeah, honestly, if you could get everybody at one of those kind of like quasi campgrounds.
Dude, yeah,
kind of like the one, like the one I was talking about, the one you were talking about, the one with the rec center and stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know, like those are good experiences.
You got your shower that usually doesn't work.
Yeah,
the toilets fucking reek. Everybody's just pissing on the floor or down the shower drain.
Don't go anywhere without flip flops.
Oh no, I don't walk around my house without flip flops on.
Yeah,
I'm weird, dude. I think I might be the only person that doesn't take their shoes off in their house.
I mean, like most of the time, I've got Crocs on. Like, but
okay, I don't feel bad then.
No, like it's
I don't know. We've got
animals,
stuff.
So
yeah, I do too.
We've got animals,
dogs, and
so there's always a fucking texture. Like if we wanted the floors clean, we would literally have a mop in our hand from the second we walked in the door until we went to bed.
Dude, I vacuum 3 times a fucking day.
Gotta have house shoes on.
I have
or something akin to it.
Or like if I walk in the kitchen, I'm afraid I'm going to step in like animal piss of some kind.
Yeah.
But if you don't catch them in time, like in the middle of the night's the worst. Yeah. Like they don't wake you up in time or whatever. They got to go. There's nothing they can do. It's not their fault.
No.
My asshole fault for getting drunk and not waking up when they were trying to get my attention.
Yeah.
And I'll go in the kitchen to get a glass of water or something. And like, if I'm shoeless, which would be the time I would be shoeless. I'm not gonna fucking try to find my flip-flops in the dark, but like just slide and piss and usually fall all the way down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cocksucking fucking dogs, pieces of shit, fucking hate your like wake the whole fucking house up because I'm the asshole that slid in dog piss because I didn't wake up and fucking take them out. But yeah, so yeah, don't go anywhere without at least flip-flops on, especially in the summertime, because you know, if you're outside, it's fucking hot anyways. Yeah. Step on fucking hot rocks. No, not for me. I think I'm too civilized for camping. Honestly, because I'm the one that would turn the car on and sleep with the air on, and then the car battery would be dead in the morning. I'm that asshole.
It's tough. Like like most of the campgrounds here are all like down in the flatlands,
right?
So it's hot.
How are like mosquitoes and stuff by you?
Not as bad, not so bad.
Okay, because like we get one of my bad.
When it rains real bad, when it like with the like it's kind of like right around now, like it's like things are green right now.
Yeah,
it's actually pretty late in the year for it to be as green as it is. It's usually when it starts drying out, and I think we're going to start seeing that soon. But when it rains a lot, we get a more a larger share of mosquitoes than we usually have, because like once it's dry and like there's no standing water for them to breed in, so they die off, and it's fucking glorious.
That's nice.
When you get down south a little bit, it's a lot wetter, a lot greener, and there's a lot more water. So, but if you want to camp and not want to fucking just die for 7 days, you got to go up in elevation. You got to go up into the mountains.
Okay.
So that way it'll be very warm during the day, but as soon as the sun goes down and you're in the thinner air, it cools off because there's no atmosphere here. So there's no it doesn't insulate the temperature from the daytime. But it's like
and I say that just to say this. I'm also the asshole who typically drinks too much while they're camping and forget to put sunblock on. The Irish in me, I burn. I don't tan. I burn. But after I burn once, get a nice crisp, peel the whole back flap off.
Yeah.
Then I tan beautifully. I'm just like bronze. I'm like a Greek god.
It's the same for me.
But that initial burn is so fucking bad, and it never fails. It always happens, and the mosquitoes are fucking out, and I'm hammered, and I start getting bit. And then in the middle of the night when I start to sober up, I'm just fucking itching, and then I'm itching fucking sunburn, and I'm like, God damn son of a fucking bitch. Why didn't anybody remind me to put on fucking sunblock? Like, I'm mad, and it's not good. And then it'll be like, somebody will have a smart ass, why don't you drink another one? And that's when it goes over so well. That's when I get set off.
And then you look like a cartoon mad person because you're fucking red.
Yeah,
just red. And yeah. I just need like to blow your top over, and steam coming out of your ears. Yeah. But it's like I'm the same way. And actually, like I got ahead of it this year. I started.
I haven't been outside enough to get tan.
Get some UV rays, so like I got that initial burn, and like
I need to do something this week,
dude. I have a feeling with over the course of the next month, I'm gonna look Cuban.
Yes, Cuban like, B.
Yeah, it's starting to. I'm my body is starting to embrace the Italian.
Yeah,
the deep Southern Italian that I am.
All right, man. Well, I say we cut her off for today, and then we'll get into the movies next time.
Yeah. Next time we'll come back. We'll do movies like, or actually, do you want to do like you want to just come up with the top 5 and then we'll almost get well, let's say the rest of our top 5 after heavyweights.
Yeah, we can do that, and that's a good way to just kind of talk about the movies without just spitting off a movie,
Right. And then,
I'm down for that. And that gives me another week to watch a few more.
Sure. So with that, we'll do our mid-episode break. Remember, go to mudamerch.com. Support the show if you'd like. We'd appreciate it. We appreciate all you maniacs listening on the audio platform.
Yeah, Apple Podcasts. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, just rate, review, subscribe, all that cool stuff. That would be awesome. Spotify, you can only really
Subscribe.
it's follow.
Right,
But that's
yeah.
like same as subscribing. You can't like leave a review, which sucks. I wish Spotify would update that. But you can also get the full video version on Spotify, and that counts as an audio play.
And if you're sticking with us on YouTube, we appreciate you. We really do. All 6 of you.
What's our Twitter handle? I don't even remember what it is. You're popped.
Yeah,
At your popped, right?
At your pop.
Yeah,
we're
popped.
really good at this promotion thing.
YOURPOPPED on Twitter, and then Who Popped Your Culture on Instagram. Follow us over there too. I usually just post like maybe a little clip here and there, the graphic. But yeah, that's the best way to stay in touch. Also, before you get the little slide where we come in and talk about our top 5 favorite summer camp movies, email or DM on social media. Send in your camp stories, and if we get some, I'll read them on the air, or I can send them to Mood or whatever, and we can, like, if there's multiple, we can go back and forth. But I want to hear like your craziest fucking summer camp story.
Yeah,
you don't have to give your real name.
No,
if you're Clint Stoble, that's cool. You don't have to give your real name. And if even if you want to make something up and just really like just make us laugh, I'm all for it. So
yeah,
your best summer camp story, and then the next, I guess it would be the next month, which we haven't decided on July yet. Proper.
Nope. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we do the top 5.
Flying by the seat of our pants at this point.
Yep. Let's
do it.
We'll see you in about 2 seconds. All right.
We're back
again. I'm a little older. I'm a little wiser.
Part 2 of the
Who Popped Your Culture goes to camp part 2.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing our top 5 favorite camp movies. This is weird because our definition of camp could get a little skewed here.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
In my top 5, it definitely does. It's mostly
but even our discussion in the first hour, it's like camp / like summer stories, you know.
In the I think the what everything boiled down to in the first part was that like camp kind of exemplifies summer as for a child, like in a child's eyes. And then like kind of, I don't know, as we started to weave down the highway of the conversation, it was really we found out that there was a lot of other movies and experiences that kind of all fell under the umbrella of camp, and like more than either one of us expected when we went into it. So it got
weird, but it was also one of the more fun, not that every episode hasn't been fun, but it was more of a fun experience as far as what we like to do in our formula of like really feeling nostalgic. And like I left that conversation and both of us, we texted each other like that was a really fun conversation, because that was the whole idea of the show. And even before, like I was like, hey, you want to do this with me? Like when I came up with the idea of it, it's like I want something like more long form conversation as opposed to just throwing statistics out and like dates and all that. And there's so many YouTube channels that do that already, and you know, I use them for reference points, but that's not what I want and what I enjoy. Like when
also something that neither one of us has the time to do.
Sure. I mean, like I could just look at Wikipedia and do it, but that's no fun. I want a long form conversation that, you know, if you're in your car and you listen to it on Apple or Spotify, which shout out to the fucking Bahamas, because we were 1 and 2. We were number 1 in hobbies, I think, and number 2 in leisure.
Maniacs.
Something like that.
Bahamian Maniacs.
But shout out.
We love you.
To the Bahamas, and I'd love to come visit the Bahamas someday.
The one place where
if we ever do a Who Popped live, it'll be in the Bahamas.
The only place where it'd be remotely relevant to do a live podcast is in the
Yeah.
Bahamas, which works for me.
Dude, I'm down for the Bahamas. Dude, when I saw that, when I got that email, I was like, holy shit. Like, not that we were one or two. I mean, that was kind of wild too, but to be in such a like
The location.
I've never been to the Bahamas. Have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I don't think I've
So
been to
two
anything
people
remotely tropical
who
except for Florida.
who have never been to the Bahamas and to be ranked at number one, number two in two different categories. You're one in one, you're two in the other. It's like, fuck, man. But shout out to the Bahamas. I'm all about it.
Don't know.
I don't even know how many
why,
people live there.
Right. But it's fun.
It's cool, man.
It's when you sent me that screenshot, I was at dinner with the wife, and I was like, why? What the fuck?
What have we ever done? Like, I'm glad if they broke it down like state by state, and then they're like, you're number one and number two in Arkansas, or you're number one, number two in Colorado. It's like, because that's where we frequent.
Yeah. I'm glad that people enjoy the show. I just don't know why.
Same reason that, nostalgia.
Probably same reason we enjoyed doing it.
Yeah. Talking about nostalgia in long form. It's so cool to break down personal experiences. And like I've said before, it's almost like therapy for me.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of, angst towards my youth and teenage days. And you're the opposite. You kind of enjoyed yours. So
no. I have happy memories.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
It was, and let's just say it was a better time. I have my own, trust me, I have plenty of issues.
I couldn't imagine what it was like for like our parents and stuff, like being adults in that time. It just seems like it was easier.
I like to imagine it was just one giant party.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it was a giant party. Because I was there.
Right, me too. I remember my parents having parties all the time.
We were, it was like just pretty much as soon as the weather turned, it was every weekend. I was in somebody's yard sneaking a sip of beer.
Yeah. And I just don't get it, because it's like now, but I think a lot of it's like electronics and, I don't know. People just don't get together like they used to.
They don't. It's a massive problem.
Yeah,
but that's a problem to discuss on a different podcast.
Yeah, we got to figure out what we're doing next month, by the way. But before that,
oh shit, you're right.
But before that, let's get into our top five. So since this was your choice, you go first.
All right, my number 5 is Wet Hot American Summer.
Ooh-wee.
Because like, while it is ultimately a camp movie and subsequent series, the whole thing is lampooning the idea of camp movies.
Yeah,
but they just
80s,
70s,
80s,
like that. I think because it takes place in 1980, which is I think Meatballs came out in 78.
Yeah, 78, 79, something like that. Yep.
And then like I think the next big. Well, not the next big, maybe, but the probably actually was. Now that I think about it, Friday the 13th, Part 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was 80.
I think it was 80. So, it was right there, and that was when like the shorts were really, really short.
Yeah,
on everybody.
Yeah,
like where your
NBA players had the
your socks are longer than your shorts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Larry Bird.
Yeah.
So, but before you continue, hang on just a second. So I was teetering between 4 and 5 for this one. So I will also put this at 5 just for the sake of a flowing conversation. Continue. Mm-hmm. Sorry for cutting you off.
Right. No, it's fine. And then like it was just like and it's hard to say. I think they just nailed it. They were able to take and when did this movie come out?
2000.
Like, yeah. So it was somewhere in that
5, 6, 7, something like that.
I don't know what I was going to say. I thought it would have been closer to 2000, but then that whole time period is kind of a blur to me anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, they nailed it. They were able to lampoon the shit out of the genre whilst also making a fucking like shot for shot, hit for hit, beat for beat, perfect camp movie.
Mm-hmm.
And the music in that movie is choice.
Yes. The music, the cast,
Yeah.
Amy Poehler, who's awesome. I always loved her, like SNL. Like I know you didn't watch SNL a lot, you know, after like the big 90s boom.
Yeah, the
But
Pharaoh years.
yeah, but like Amy Poehler's pretty awesome. And then, her on Parks and Rec, which we've
But that was
discussed in the past,
the
is an
who's
excellent
who
show.
the who's who of UCB and the state.
Yeah.
And
Bradley Cooper's in it.
that's right.
America's sweetheart, fucking Paul Rudd. Shout
Yeah.
out to fucking Paul Rudd.
Yeah, it was that's better. Pretty much all I could say really is that is the UCB and the state and the one other crowd that I think they pulled from, but maybe it was just those two.
Yeah.
But like you look at everybody that's in that movie and where they are now, like it was kind of like they almost nobody, unless you knew those two troops, like you didn't know who the fuck they were. And then, like now
maybe sans Paul Rudd.
Well, I mean, but
okay. He wasn't America's sweetheart yet.
No, because Paul Rudd largely disappeared in the mid 90s. And he kind of went into he was doing like indie shit, like
he wasn't doing like the
super underground indie shit.
The Judd Apatow.
No, and it was
rom-coms.
He did Wet Hot, but Anchorman was his big comeback.
Yeah.
Because
after Clueless, he just kind of fell off.
But that was it. In the 90s, he was the drama guy. He had his comedic timing and stuff like that. It was all there still.
Shout out to Halloween 6 also, by the way.
Oh my God, dude. I watched that for the first time and way longer than I thought. I completely forgot about the character he played in that movie.
I fucking love that movie.
by which I mean him being like he fucking reminded me of is Herman Munster's character in Pet Sematary.
Okay.
The way like his cadence.
Yeah.
He had that like spooky cadence to his voice.
Yeah.
like he was doing a horror themed narrative podcast. Like with like 2 listeners.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was very sweet.
Not to be confused with us, who are very big in the Bahamas.
Yes. That's got to be a shirt.
We're big in the Bahamas.
We're going to make like we were talking about it before we started recording, talking about Myrtle Beach and shit like that. We got to make a souvenir shirt, a Who Pops souvenir shirt.
A beach shirt. Yeah.
Yes. That looks like you'd buy it at a Wings. Like
I love it.
And it'll be
a great idea.
And it'll be 100% better quality than anything you'd buy in Wings.
Yeah.
Because mudamerch.com makes some pretty decent shirts.
There we go. Nice segue.
I don't take credit for that. I'm just the guy behind the mouse clicking on design, making the designs. But anyway, so Paul Rudd, excellent, especially playing the fucking bad boy as hilarious.
Yeah.
Because Paul Rudd as a bad boy is kind of a joke in and of itself.
Yeah.
Because he's such a sweetheart.
God, I love him.
So you said your number. That's your number.
I'm piggybacking because I was going back and forth, and it seems like every time we do one like a list like this, where we kind of like, oh, and that's my number. Your number 4 is my number 3. So it's like, okay, then we got to kind of talk about it again. So like I said, just for the sake of flowing conversation, and my 5 and 4 could have easily been switched. So it's fine.
Yeah. What's your number 4?
It would be your 4 because you're first.
Well, I'm asking you.
Oh, you're rotating. Mine is Ernest Goes to Camp.
Nice.
Ernest movies to me, like, that's perfect nostalgia for when we were growing up, because we all like, it was something that, like, I don't remember ever seeing one in like the theater, but that was definitely like a Friday, Saturday afternoon rental. Oh shit, there's a new Ernest movie coming out, or there's a new Ernest movie out to rent. And that was his first, I believe it was the second Ernest movie, but it was his first as like a star.
Right.
So this came out in 87. So the same year I was born. So I'd probably seen this well after, anybody else
Mhm.
did, or, at that time. Um, but it's just, it's Ernest, man. There's nothing I can even really say about it. It's just a fun, you know, it's one of those Ernest movies to me are like just something you can just shut your brain down and just
Yeah,
like enjoy with the family. Like my kids think that he's funny, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
It's,
Oh, Jesus. You know what I mean, Burn? You know what I mean,
it's
Burn? Dude,
just so ridiculous, but it's fun.
I love, like, it's one of the things too that's kind of, it's not funny per se, but it, like,
Yeah.
the tortured artists, it, like, you look at the juxtaposition against Jim Varney versus the character of Ernest P.
Yeah.
Worrell. Like, the guy was like he was, whatever, tortured, cancer, smoked like fucking 5 packs of cigarettes a
Yeah.
day. And then, but
But he was
somehow
like
when he
he
put
was like
that,
a stage actor though. He
right. Oh,
was
no, no, for sure. But he'd put that denim vest on and that fishing hat, and then just, like, um, I love every Ernest movie that I've ever seen. And I honestly, now that I think about it, I don't know if I've ever seen Ernest Goes to Camp.
check it out.
I will. Is
Yeah.
I believe it's on Tubi right now, and I like
Probably
kind of
is.
hovered
Yeah.
over it.
Yeah.
But because there was definitely, I mean, and I know he made those movies for kids. At least the one, at least after Jail.
Yeah. Oh, for
They
sure.
were
Like
they
the
definitely did
slam
more of
dunk
a,
Ernest and shit
yeah,
like that. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
And it's the every Halloween when we go back and we start we watch all of our, like, Hocus Pocus and stuff like that,
yeah.
like all of the things that kind of just, I mean, pretty much this show of our movie viewing is
Anything that
really
was
like,
in a coming attractions of a movie that your parents watched that you really didn't want to see.
pretty much. But like Hocus Pocus, always, Christ, from starting in about halfway through September, I watch Halloween 1 like 100 times.
Yeah.
Um, but the Ernest Scared Stupid
Mm-hmm.
always pops up, and every time we watch it, I'm just like, for some reason I thought this was going to be like it, like every time, like the definition of insanity kind of shit. Like, I'm just like, I always like it always hits me over the head like a fucking bag of cement that it's a kids movie.
Yeah.
Like,
It's not
blatantly
made for
a
us
child.
now.
No,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. Like, it's not like, it wasn't even really like, I suppose you could, when you get in, when he does his Ottoman Empire monologue, that's something that we can still laugh at, because the Ernest monologues, it's like kind of, I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. It's very similar to the Jack Burton CB monologues.
Yeah.
Just with Jim Varney delivery
Instead of Kurt Russell.
right. So it's I mean, they have this, but they're all throughout every Ernest movie. He kind of like half talks to the camera.
Yeah.
But it just
breaking the wall.
Breaking it looks like he's breaking the wall, but then you find out he's just talking to his dog.
Yeah.
And it's always delightful.
It's not for sake of art, even though anything that is created is considered art, but it's more of just that slapstick, physical comedy. It's ridiculous. Like, is he gonna blow himself up? Like,
it's that late 80s, early 90s infomercial comedy.
Yeah.
Like
Dwarf Goes Fishing.
Yep. Exactly.
That kind of shit. Yeah.
I mean, and that's originally the Ernest character was for car sale, like used car commercials.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's perfect. It's exactly that, and it does, like the weird.
Yeah, and this makes my list strictly for nostalgia reasons.
Sure, and there's no reason it shouldn't be on there.
Yeah,
honestly, it really isn't. It's anything Jim Varney is A-okay in my book for sure. Yeah. I love and miss that guy for sure.
Yes, and your number 4.
My number 4 is Meatballs 4.
Ooh. Something tells me it won't be the last installment of Meatballs on this.
Yeah, maybe not, but I will say this, not from me. Meatballs 4 is, to me, like, it was, I'm pretty sure this was the first Meatballs movie I saw when I was a kid.
This is the one with Feldman, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Which when you really think about it, is the last Meatballs movie I should have seen when I was a kid. if at all. This is when, like, this is
USA Up All Night. That was a different time for us.
As an elder millennial, like, there are things that we could definitely look at now, and we like the despite currently living in the most easily accessible adult entertainment ever in the history of anything,
which we've talked about on several occasions.
Right. And but it was still a lot, like, you could sit down in front of like HBO and like see this shit, and like I think because it was also, I know the latchkey generation kind of started in the 70s, but it was like it's still figured out yet that maybe socially that's maybe not the best thing. So like you could put the TV on and you could sit there and you could watch things that children should not be watching, and the parents were just oblivious to it.
Yeah, they were doing their own thing.
Right. And with Meatballs 4 is definitely, because it's a sex comedy.
Yeah, like
100%. Like, it's not kids at camp. It's 18 plus, like, whatever, elder teenagers and early 20s, and they're all like, as soon as the camp activities are done for the day, then everybody's sitting around fires drinking and canoodling.
And somebody's going to end up in a cabin where they shouldn't be.
Right.
9 times out of 10.
The peeping Tom as a comedy device and shit like that. It's, like, it's,
man, the 80s and 90s was a different time for that.
It was a wild time.
Like now, jail. If somebody's catching a peeping Tom,
jail,
slammer,
jail.
Back then, they're like, it's just kids being kids,
right?
Trying to catch a peep.
Yeah, like, it's as a well, I watched it again, and it's still enjoyable. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It definitely,
Corey Feldman as a whole is ridiculous.
Right. And especially like it seemed like the right after Corey Feldman met Michael Jackson, like it was on Feldman's rider that he had to have a Michael Jackson dance break in every movie that he did.
It's like John Travolta. Like, he's got to have a dance scene.
The first one ever, and I remember seeing, like, I guess I had never seen Dream a Little Dream when I was younger. I remember the first time watching Dream a Little Dream, I'm like, what is happening? Like, fedora and everything. Fedora, penny loafers, White Sox, and immaculate.
The two Corey vehicle.
Right. But those I'd been more than familiar with at that point, but never seen that one. But the perfectly replicated Michael Jackson dancing. And then he does it again in Meatballs 4. Just
not a bad dancer, though. I'm saying,
he can dance like Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
If you can dance like Michael Jackson, you cannot possibly be a bad dancer. Yeah, it's it's a late night favorite from my youth, and it also informed a lot of my ideas of what camp was supposed to be. So color my disappointment.
Sure.
Or color me disappointed when I actually
color me disappointed. So I guess we'll go to my 3.
Sure.
My 3 is Meatballs, the original. Bill Murray, that's all I can even say about it. Bill Murray. The opening of the movie where he's in his cabin, he's a counselor. He's the main counselor in the movie, and he's on the intercom, like walkie-talkie speaker, whatever you call it. And he's just like giving everybody a rundown of what's going on, and then like he's cooking, like he's making coffee on the stove in a little old school like water
percolator.
Kettle. Goes in to take a piss, and he's still talking. And then like they play, the jock camp and a game of basketball, which we'll talk about on another movie in my list. It's everything a camp movie should be. It's stupid, but it's stupid to the point it's funny, and
it's the quintessential camp movie.
I could see back then that movie was just downright fucking just knock your socks off hilarious.
Yeah.
Now, looking back on it, and obviously I wasn't alive in 79 when it came out, but looking back on it, it's like, it's one of those, yeah. It's like, it's not like I always saw Meatballs as like, it's not Bill Murray as, in Caddyshack, or it's not Bill Murray as in Ghostbusters or Groundhog Day, even, which is a movie that I feel is slightly disrespected. But overall, it's just that movie that I would watch as a teen or, younger, even 10, but like it's on late at night. It's like one of those movies like, oh, there's a star in it, but it's not for your viewing eyes. But your parents are out, or your parents are at work, or your parents are asleep. So for that sake, you can view this movie.
One of the things about that too is like, and obviously, just like I was just talking about with Meatballs 4, it had Meatballs 4 informed what I thought all the other Meatballs movies were. As far as like, and you look at the cover art, it's Bill Murray with a bunch of like young ladies draped
that
over.
Old school,
right,
60s, 70s, even 80s, like color poster, like
the kind
cartoony.
Of Norman Rockwell,
like
Norman Rockwell, like the kind of almost like Norman Rockwell / Frank Frazetta, what like the National Lampoon Vacation movies turned into,
right? Which that's what I always think about when I see those. It's Vacation, Meatballs, Funny Farm, another Chevy Chase vehicle, and then like the Bond movies, like the Roger Moore Bond movies.
Very much so.
Although that's all I think about when I see stuff like that.
But the thing with regarding Murray not being I can never remember the fucking guy's name with his character's name in Caddyshack. I can never remember it. He's just Bill Murray in Caddyshack.
I always just think it's a Cinderella story for Cinderella boy.
Yeah.
Masters
Champion. I think Meatballs is the first time where Bill Murray, it's just Bill Murray acting like Bill Murray.
Yeah, he's just being
like he's goofy. Essentially just like kind of where he just becomes like where he's typecast. They just
he's not you're right. He's not a character.
He's not a character. He's just himself. Just like just do how you do things, and I mean that's fine.
This isn't like, Caddyshack. This isn't SNL. Like, just be you.
Yeah, you don't need to be a character. You can just whatever. Your own delivery is hilarious enough,
right? Which is kind of what we got like in Ghostbusters later on.
Yep. And pretty much like ever since then, like it's like, okay, so in Groundhog Day, he's just Bill Murray that's an asshole. Like
I always asshole. Like with Groundhog Day and Scrooged, it's just I want to believe that's him in real life. Kind of dickish, but like playful, like you could hang out, but he's gonna be a dick about it.
I mean, from all of the like the Bill Murray tales.
Yeah.
Like there's even a documentary about it now.
Yeah.
Just people who randomly run into Bill Murray and he's a goofball.
It's so fucking weird. Like people on Twitter all the time are post like pictures randomly. Like, I saw one, it was like him at like the baggage claim at the airport, and he just like I'm like, what the fuck?
He likes goofing on people, and I respect the shit out of that.
It's the same with Tom Hanks. But he's another one of those guys.
I remember the first time I ever watched the original Meatballs, I was very confused. One, the zero nudity. Surprising now after the fact. Yeah.
I'm sure there was a director's cut.
Knowing where one of the actresses is from, her other career.
That was wild, dude.
Yeah. I was like, whoa. I was just very confused. And I'm just like, where's all the more like adult oriented shenanigans that happens in camp movies? It's like they took and maybe I don't know, maybe Friday the 13th is what shifted it.
Yeah. Like the idea.
Right. It's like camp movies started as a children's thing.
Yeah.
Because Meatballs is tame. Like even for the time, it was tame.
But I mean, like I said, the idea of the adult aspect of it is there. It just they never really like push the issue.
No, like I almost wonder if like that was the intention. Like, and that's why they
like if Meatballs won and Porky's had a baby, that would be the perfect meatball.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's just weird, but it's a great movie.
Yeah,
it really is a good movie, and
it's
it's like,
fun.
and it's
fun to
largely
watch.
wholesome. And usually, I'm pretty sure I've made it perfectly clear that I fucking hate the winter and snow and all things winter. Usually, roughly about halfway through January, I get the theme song from this movie stuck in my head because I am indeed ready for the summer.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I love spring because it brings the start of baseball. I love summertime because usually, again, baseball's in full swing. You're outside,
beer and
grilling, drinking beer, hanging out, pool, beach, whatever. And then the fall, it's playoff baseball. It's Halloween, which is my favorite fucking holiday. Honestly, 4th of July is probably my second favorite holiday. Because again, beer, grilling, fireworks, like fun outdoors.
Yeah.
Like, you're not stuck inside because it's fucking freezing cold outside and your nutsack will turn into a fucking ice pick.
Or
it's no fun.
Or invert itself.
Yeah. Or I was in the pool.
Yeah. I was in the pool. Yes. So Meatballs definitely, like, just like Ernest. You know, like, my list is what it is, but it has, like, there's no reason it shouldn't be on every list of the top 50.
I played it
at
safe
least.
on mine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Like, my tastes are obscure in general, so it's not at all. I don't know if
there's
like,
anything wrong with that.
Oh, but so
you're 3.
My number 3 is Sleepaway Camp 2.
Ooh wee.
Sleepaway Camp 2 was the first Sleepaway Camp movie I ever saw. Very similarly to the Meatballs scenario, watching the first Meatballs movie was, or not, or watching the first Sleepaway. Actually, no, it wasn't that bad. The change wasn't too bad.
From 1 to 2 on Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah. Sleepaway Camp 2 was way more late night cable than Sleepaway Camp 1. But then again, Sleepaway Camp 1, they were actually definitely 100% trying to make a legitimate horror movie, and they did. Right. They just camped it up for the, no pun intended, for the second and third ones. But it's that mid 80s camp horror movie. And like,
which is what it basically turned into for the most part.
Right. Like, I guess, suppose, like, I don't know, just to backtrack a little bit with this particular series, like, Sleepaway Camp 1 is hilarious in so many different ways. And the fact that it takes place on Long Island, or maybe not on Long Island, but maybe in the Catskills or some shit like that. But it's all Long Island people.
Yeah.
Like, they did all of the casting in the boroughs. And like, they're like, I know the Felissa Rose, she's from Long Island, and they all have that very Long Island accent. You know, like, that I'm pretty sure, probably, I wouldn't be surprised if the beginning of the movie, like the scene where fucking the kid, one of the kids gets run over by a boat with their dad, actually happened at like Jones Beach or some shit like that, like, or in the Hamptons or something. But it like, as a New Yorker, it's fun. It's fun to like have that pop up, because, like, I mean, the Crystal Lake is supposed to take place in New Jersey, or it's supposed to be in New Jersey, but it's all of them are shot all over the place. I know the first one was shot in Connecticut, but like, they cast from everywhere, even though, like, Kevin Bacon is from, like, I don't know, fucking 30 minutes away from my hometown, so like, they didn't go too far for some of the actors. And I'm pretty sure Sean Cunningham was local to the tri-state area. But it, like, I don't know. So Sleepaway Camp 1 was what it was. And it's ridiculous. But it's in it, it is still very kid oriented. It's all like, younger teenagers that are actually in, like, playing the roles that they are. And it's kind of like, knowing what the series becomes, it's kind of weird to see it play out that way. But then watching the second one, it's just like, you don't care what happens to anybody,
Right. Yeah, and I
they're
didn't
all
see
just
these
like,
movies till way later because like
yeah.
I was never a big horror guy as a younger kid or even
Mhm.
a teenager. Obviously I've always like Halloween. Michael
Mhm.
Myers to me was always like primo, but as I got older and not as like why am I spending money to be scared? Like it to me it
Mhm.
just never made sense until I got older and like
Right.
had kids and all that shit. So like the sleepaway camp movies I always found easier to digest because there's more of like a comedic aspect
Yes.
to it. Like it's
Yeah.
so like goofy that you're like, okay, this is ridiculous. But looking back now, I see why it has such a devoted following.
Yeah.
And like I don't know what it is. Like horror is just one of those genres of like there's genres of music that have a bigger following.
Right.
There's genres of, whatever. But it's like horror to me is like it was perfect for conventions.
Yeah.
Like I
Well,
mean, it's like it was made for that, and they had no idea
no,
what
they
it was
did.
going to become.
It was I mean, until about, I would say somewhere in the mid 80s, I think it started to really like emerge
So I think like the
as
first
the
Comic-Con was like
counterculture.
77, 76, something like that.
Yeah, but but that was back when Comic-Con was literally just a bunch of like the comic book store guy from The Simpsons selling comic books. Like they didn't, like
They didn't
it
have
wasn't even,
panels and stuff like they do
no,
now.
certainly no panels. It wasn't
Yeah,
about movies at all.
right.
Like nobody, the idea of a comic book movie was, with the exception of like Superman and stuff like that, it was like, why are you making comic book movies?
Yeah,
It is a visual medium, but come on now. Look what they did. Look what Canon did to your boy. Fucking but it was the horror itself is like it was inherently counterculture, because even back in the days when like the horror movies were art house movies,
yeah.
more or less, like even the Universal monster movies and shit like that,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, you're watching this trash,
Yeah,
it was always considered trash, so it kind of created this, it was like it was punk before punk,
that's like
really. Like it
exactly
was,
that's perfect
it
definition of
was,
it.
if you were a devoted fan of horror movies, you were, you were ostracized
You
to an
were
extent.
you
Like
were that dude
the weird
or
kid.
chick, that kid that was off the beaten path.
Yeah.
Other side of the tracks kid, It's like I remember
and that,
being a kid and watching Toxic Avenger, and that's
yep,
because,
same.
the cartoon. And
Yep.
then I went back and watched the movies. I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is not my
Yes.
Toxie.
Yes. And it's I don't know, like I think they really started to embrace that more.
Yeah.
Like when, like maybe like inadvertently, not even on purpose, in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
Because that was just saturation. Like it oversaturated the market.
Because
Like it was,
everybody was like, okay, we might not do good in a theater or drive-in,
but
but
you're gonna make a
we're gonna
killing
make a killing off rentals.
Yeah, that's
and
that's it.
and TV networks picking it up to show something late at night for the fucking scumbags that are still awake.
Yep. Which we were
scumbags.
even at a young age.
Yeah.
Even at a young age, we'd sneak up. But so I don't know, the Sleepaway Camp 2 or Sleepaway Camp series, the whole thing really, and it's like it's one of the things that I kind of always find hilarious is that a lot of them, especially, I mean, if you creep around in like in the rural areas of the Northeast, like finding an old defunct camp, it's not like it's almost a guarantee.
Yeah, you're gonna find it.
Unless it's in like, if especially like the farther out you go. Quick aside, watched the movie 2 weeks ago, a part of the last drive-in on Shudder, called Hellbender. It's a husband, wife, child, 3-person group that makes movies. They're really good, by the way. As I know you're a fan of horror yourself, I would very much suggest the 2 that are available. But anyway, they are from the Catskills. The father was originally from the Catskills. He met his wife in New York City at a punk show. He was a male model So the fact that he kind of like grew up, got out of the business, and like did something with his life that didn't require like bagging groceries was kind of a shock to me. No offense to male models, maybe.
Who am
But yeah,
I?
they were talking about how they were talking about as they were on the show, on the actual like the vignettes in between or during the breaks of the movie. Joe Bob asked if there was any like remnants of the Borscht Belt resort like shit in upstate in the Catskill region, and the guy was just like, oh yeah, there's tons of them. So he's just like, so in embracing the like the guerrilla tradition that they in which they film, he's just like, is there any like what's the possibility of you guys shooting at one of these old defunct Catskill resorts that were so famous in the 50s, like, you know, they're circa, you know, the time period in which Dirty Dancing takes place. And the guy's like, oh, I mean, we could, if we ever had a reason to, like, we could, like, I know where they're all at. Like, they're all there and nobody owns them anymore. Nobody, you know, like the golf courses are all overrun, you know, the buildings abandoned, are all dilapidated, you know, and that's a lot. Like, you can see it in the sleepaway camp movies very clearly, like not the first one, but the second one especially. Like the campers leaning against these cabins that are like in horrendous condition.
Mm-hmm.
And then like when you see the condition of the grounds around them, like it's just dead leaves, like very clearly not shot in the summertime. And like nobody cleaned this area up, and there's no clear paths. They're always walking in the woods. There's no like they're when they're going from, you know, from the mess hall to wherever, they are not like, these are not cleared paths and shit like that. And I find it entertaining to think that
it's a cheap way to film, you know,
right? But it's supposed to be, you know, it's supposed to be an operational camp, and like it's very very clearly not. Like there's no way that they would not like clean this area up to invite paying campers to be there. But that's all I have to say about Sleepaway Camp 2. I love that movie.
We got off the cuff a little bit, which is cool. That's what we like about it.
What we do.
My number 2, again, this is not a traditional camp movie per se. I'm gonna go with The Great Outdoors.
Is also my number 2.
Excellent. John Candy, Dan Aykroyd in their finest. The idea of it's got that camp vibe, you know, the teenage boy runs off and he finds, like we talked about in the first hour, you know, finds that summer love and all that. But there's so many great, you know, scenes in this movie.
Yes.
Like I'm honestly shocked they never made a sequel.
I'm shocked, but I'm glad they didn't.
I am too. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay. So, you know, you got the scene where John Candy's eating the steak. What, the old 96er? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Okay. That's fucking phenomenal, because that's something that I would probably do in the same situation. The skiing scene, John Candy going all over the place, and they think he's just having the time of his life, and he's trying to get him to stop. And Dan Aykroyd just hauling ass in the boat. The raccoons for me, big raccoon guy. The fucking talking raccoons and the subtitles, and they talking about the lobster and like, oh, we're eating good. And then, you know, the hot dogs, like, you know what they're made out of? Lips and assholes. Like, to me, as a kid that could read, when I read it the first time, I thought that was the funniest fucking thing, because I'm like, this is what raccoons think about.
Yeah.
This is how raccoons, you know, discuss things.
Didn't they use the sound of a dolphin too?
It seemed like it. It was more dolphin than raccoon.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a silly detail, but it's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, like Dan Aykroyd trying to give John Candy like the opportunity of a lifetime, and like, I was coming out here to try to get you to invest, and then come to find out he's broke, and and then in the end, spoiler alert, in the end, they have a race back to John Candy's family's house or their side of the family's house because Dan Aykroyd and his crew are coming to live with them until they get back on their feet, which
Right.
I'm assuming never probably happened.
Yeah, who knows? And at that point, it's just kind of a one last joke to roll the credits on. You know what I mean?
And Dan Aykroyd plays the biggest fucking prick. It's so awesome. I love it. Which I've heard he is a prick, but
he's not quite what did he call himself? Is he just the parts king in Tommy Boy?
Fuck.
What's his king? Some king. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, he's the auto parts king. Because that's who I am and that's who I care about.
Right.
Oh fuck, what was his name? It's gonna drive me nuts.
But it like he almost plays that character. He's not like he's the character in Tommy Boy is a little more
at Midwestern Chicago, Wisconsin.
Midwestern, but they're always Midwestern.
Yeah, well, that's his accent.
Right. But he's a little more like kind of curt in his delivery. But he's almost that level of prick, very, kind of like Wall Street business oriented shit like that. But like I just remember that the movie itself is like a cartoon. It's like a live action cartoon. Like you've got those two. You got John Candy and Dan Aykroyd, and the way that they act in that movie. John Candy, pretty much everything he did was like a human cartoon character. Then when you add the raccoons, like all the physical comedy that does happen, the bat scene, and then the bear scene after.
Yeah. Oh shit.
The
shoots the bear's ass. It's bald like
big bear. Big bear. Yeah. It was all of it. And then I remember that was Jesus Christ. I had, and I mean rightfully so, and as I'm pretty sure as it was designed, the biggest fucking crush on the townie.
Yeah.
That I always want to call him Russell for some reason. Like I feel like there's always
his name was Russell, but it makes you think vacation.
Also, Honey, We Shrunk the Kids. There was a Russell in that. Like that must have been one of the most popular names of the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was like
Russell.
Yeah. I just what's his name? I can never remember his name, but the guy that the actor that played Max Headroom, the way he says Russell in Honey, We Shrunk the Kids is it's whenever I hear the name Russell, that's what I think of. But
it's so weird to think that's the same guy too.
Right. And that's also if the Russell, we're just going to call him Russell from now.
I think it is his name, but I'm not
probably
100% sure.
The Russell in The Great Outdoors he's the Prefrosh in PCU.
Okay.
And then he's like a few other things as well. But I remember he's obviously much younger when he did The Great Outdoors, but yeah, man, like that was it. That's another thing that it was because I don't know. Impressionable youths, like you watch the movies, and especially
Great Outdoors is streaming on a bunch of shit now, by the way, if anybody's listening wants to go back and watch it.
Yeah, I mean, and you should. If you haven't seen Great Outdoors,
I want to watch it now.
You should. Yeah, and there's no reason not
just
to.
Talking about it. Well, I got shit to do today.
Right.
And I like, probably will watch it tomorrow,
because that's probably like a tight 90-minute movie.
Dude,
that's all
that's what they did. Fucking love it. We probably watch it 2 or 3 times a year.
It's timeless.
It's so funny, and it's one of those movies that never gets old.
No. And then in kind of we touched on it in the first hour, that it like in again with the whole being an impressionable youth and stuff like that, it kind of like it informed how I thought life was supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and mind you, from a fucking young age, so like it kind of put the idea that I was supposed to go on vacation and like fall in love with a townie, you know what I mean? And it was probably that aspect, because I for the majority of my life, and probably even now, fucking it's hopeless romantic. And yeah, like going out places of just like where's the like angelic looking townie that I'm supposed to fall in
Yeah.
love with for a week.
Goes with my lifeguard story. I was just visiting,
Yeah. Because that's the thing that they, and like I'm pretty sure that's what we touched. We got to that point in the first hour, is that it's just like they never really talk about that part.
Yeah.
It's like you're on vacation. Who's on vacation for more than a week? Maybe 2.
2 tops.
Yeah.
In a vacation setting, yes.
Right. Unless you are,
unless you're like in my situation back in the day when,
right.
I had to
that
go
wasn't
visit
as
my
much
dad,
of
but it was an entire summer.
Right. It wasn't as much of a vacation as it was,
your second home. Right? Yeah.
But like the idea, that nobody's going on a vacation for more than 2 weeks unless you're, loaded. And how many people in this world are that?
Yeah.
The people going to see these movies so regularly aren't generally that.
They're not it's part of Joe and Jill 6-pack.
Right. So yeah. Great Outdoors is it's a legendary movie, and it's something that I'm depending on the temperament of the person, I will almost always suggest this movie to someone who hasn't seen it.
I think you would probably agree with me that this movie is one of the more underrated, like, hilarious comedies.
Oh yeah, 100%. And
overall, like, the movie is just funny.
Yeah. Like I feel like it's objectively funny, unless you live on Twitter, at which point you'll hate this movie and don't watch it, because
you also hate wrestling, but you like to talk about it all the time.
Yeah. If you don't like this movie because of your 2022 temperament and personality, if you try to cancel it, I will find you.
Yes.
And I will make sure you can't do that.
Yeah. I think our number one's probably unanimous here.
Oh yes.
Okay.
We already stated our number one in the first hour.
That's right.
Number one with a bullet. Like today, this was all like we're supposed to speed through our 2 through 5.
Yeah.
And then just discuss the wonderment of our number one with a great big bullet, Heavyweights.
There was no question going into this. As soon as you said camp, I was like, Heavyweights.
Yeah, Heavyweights.
Done.
It's the it very similarly to Wet Hot American Summer, quintessential.
If you were a kid in the 90s when this movie came out, there is no way you did not see this unless you lived under a fucking rock.
Yeah. And I felt like I lived under a rock when we finally got our hands on it, because we didn't get it until it was on VHS.
Yeah.
I had no idea this movie existed until we've discussed BJ's Wholesale Club at length before, considering where we both come from. My mother, considering the large amount of children that we had in our house, all of the food came from a wholesale club, and
also most of my socks.
Yeah, yeah.
At the very least, exactly.
Socks and underwear, and underwear, definitely. And yeah, she came home with Heavyweights one day. No, none of us had ever heard of it. And then we
see the kids in the big hero, the big submarine sandwich.
Yeah. And like we recognize them, Kenan Thompson, and the main character whose name I never remember. I know is the character's name, but the actor's name, Jerry.
Garner.
Yeah. Gerald Garner. Age 11, 142 pounds.
I'm sure your father, Maury Garner.
Yeah.
Every time I get to that part.
So good. But we recognize faces, and obviously Goldberg from Mighty Ducks, and Kenan Thompson also from Mighty Ducks, and Gerald Garner, age 11, 142 pounds, from the Mighty Ducks, the first one. We were there. We're
Emilio Estevez's vehicle.
Yeah.
Emilio.
So we watched it finally. Like after it was a while. Like we didn't just put it in right away.
Was Kenan and Kel already out by the time that you saw it?
Kenan and Kel, maybe not.
Or all that.
All that definitely.
Okay.
All that was definitely on.
So Kenan Thompson was already well known in your house.
Right. Exactly. I think
Mighty Ducks, I guess. Yeah.
I think all that was already out, and I think that's what got him the role in Mighty Ducks 2.
Maybe.
Like I want to think that all that was later, but I watched all that on the television in my childhood home before my father passed away. So
speaking
that
of all
puts
that,
it
you can go
early
back and watch our
90s.
Nickelodeon episode when we talk about all that.
Yes.
Or listen to it, whatever you do.
Watch or listen to the back catalog.
Yes. This is episode 7.
6.
6. Because it's month 6 of the year. I'm looking
Right.
at my calendar as we speak. Whoops.
But yeah, but yeah, when we finally watched it, I was like, this is fucking genius.
Yeah.
And I am ashamed, supremely ashamed, that I only just now, in prep for this episode, realized this was a Judd Apatow vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, or I mean, he didn't direct it, or I don't think he produced it or anything like that. He just wrote it.
He wrote it, which is why it's fucking hilarious. Right. Honestly, I mean,
and which really, really, really makes me want to get my hands on the original draft.
Yeah, because shit was changed. I think they even say it like online. There was a lot of shit changed in this movie.
We discussed it a little bit with how they overdub.
Yeah.
Like they swear a couple of times where you could see them say like shit.
Yeah.
And there's the scene where they're on the dock screaming across the lake, and they say "forget you."
Yeah,
like that. I mean, that could be.
Yeah,
because if they were just going for if they were going for like a hard PG or like a light PG-13, like with the 1 or 2 shits.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, who knows? Maybe they went for a solid PG-13 and said "fuck you."
Yeah, I don't think back then PG-13 you could say the F word.
I think I'm pretty sure you could,
because I know now you get 1.
You get 1, yeah, and I think that was still the way back then.
Okay, dude, Ben Stiller in this movie, fucking fantastic. This, which I kind of knew about him because I want to say Ben Stiller's show was already out. I know him from something before I saw the movie, but
I knew his face.
Yeah, but this is what solidified him for me. And I'm a huge fan of like Zoolander and stuff like that. But dude, Jerry Stiller and Ann Mira, God rest their fucking souls.
Yeah,
Jerry Stiller in this movie very little.
Yeah,
and his one line really when they're doing the hi, and they're like turning the camp over to Tony.
Yeah,
which is their real life son, and
don't let anybody sign your checks.
Don't let anybody sign your checks. And then she pulls him out. Is it caught?
Yeah.
The delivery.
Yeah.
His delivery, like, I got to go off on a little bit of a tangent here.
Go.
Okay, so huge Seinfeld fan, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Quite possibly even a bigger King of Queens fan. Fucking love that show. Kevin James should never have been in movies, but that show was amazing. Jerry Stiller can make you laugh just by being alive. And I miss him terribly. That was one of those celebrity deaths I knew was coming eventually because of his age, but like wanted to believe that he would live forever along with Betty White. But like, he's just so funny. His physical presence just makes you laugh. And everything that I've heard about him is nothing but like positive. Like he's just the most amazing person. But yeah, that one little quick one-liner he gets in, and I look forward to that every time I watch it. And I watch this movie very regularly because, like I said, even my kids love this one too, for good reason. I mean, it is a kids movie, but there are certain things that are, even as an adult, you still laugh at for not nostalgic reasons, like when they're going through the line after Josh gets kicked out of the camp.
Yep.
They're going through the line and they're doing all the different scenarios. Like, I heard he's living with a guy with no legs, and the fucking kitchen cook, and he's like, sorry to hear about your friend Josh. He's dead.
Yeah.
And just like, what the fuck? This is a movie with kids, about kids, for kids, and we're talking about one of their friends being dead. And I don't see that being a thing now.
The guy that
what else is he in?
The most recently, I remember him. He plays I think, if I'm not mistaken, he plays the coach for the Dolphins in Ballers.
Okay.
The Rock.
Okay.
But he's in it. I mean, he's
He was
like
in a lot of stuff around this time though of
yes,
heavyweights.
that
And
time,
I always remember
all
his
the way in through
delivery
the
being funny.
2000s, like he is he's just kind of, he's like a, almost like an Ethan Hawke knockoff. Like he's got like
Yeah.
physical,
Yeah.
his physical,
Yeah.
but and he's an entirely different type of actor.
Yeah.
But he was like in a lot of bit stuff, and he does a lot of TV work and all that stuff. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
And like and it's funny is my wife, she asked,
Oh,
yeah, I was waiting for it.
yeah. Give me a little one.
Yeah. While we were watching, she was just like, I wonder if this is what inspired Christopher Maloney's character in Wet Hot. Because they're almost identical.
Yeah.
Like same like get up, bandana, kind of similar, like similar temperaments.
Mm-hmm.
Maloney's was way more over the top, but
Right.
Different
type of movie too.
But it was that same thing. It was just like this kind of like you wonder too, like the nowadays with food quality being such an issue, like it's almost impossible to think of the fact that like you'd almost expect the head cook at a summer camp to probably be an ex-con of some sort. Like, because who the hell takes that job?
Right.
Like, who the hell, like, is it's guaranteed income for 2.5 months.
Right. Yeah.
Like unless or maybe a head cook at a school or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Fuck off for the summer and
I
keep cooking. But
I feel like we would be doing a disservice if we didn't mention the Lars character.
There's no way that he goes unmentioned.
Because just the way they kind of pick and prod at his accent, and he talks about I make a very disturbing sound when I sleep, but don't worry, I'll be fine. And then it like pans to the next morning.
Extremely deviated septum. Yeah, it's the number one Lars scene, of course, is when he's trying to hit on the nurse.
Yeah.
And she's like, shouldn't you be watching the kids? And he's like, no, it's okay. I have them on the body system.
Body system?
The body system.
Body.
Yes, look. Yeah. Yeah.
Body.
Such a maniac. And
He
still
gives me like his facial. It's like a young Val Kilmer.
Similar. And
yeah.
His mouth moves incredibly weird.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, it's just like it's almost like his mouth moves independently of the rest of his body, and like almost like a cartoon character. Where if he was like, if almost like either like SpongeBob or like Ren and Stimpy or some shit, where if he was trying to whisper, his mouth would
go
extend,
out.
Like all the way to the ear of the fucking person on the other end. It's very, I don't know. It every time he's on screen, I can't stop. I'm just like, this guy he's weird.
He's like weirdly like physical and obnoxious at the same time.
Yes.
The summer dance with the girl camp and Love Machine comes on and he's dancing. He's got like the crop top type shirt. Not like it's just so tight that it should have been a crop top, but like just the way he dances. That whole scene is just hilarious to me because the one kid, Salami Sam, at the end when he's dancing with the girl and Tony comes in and he's like, all right, it's time to put away the fruit trays. The insects will be out soon. But Salami Sam kisses the girl and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how did that happen so quick?
Well, also, if you remember, like kind of when they're doing like the scan.
Yeah.
Like when there's he's the one, like Salami Sam is perfectly comfortable.
Yeah.
Being Tubby Salami Sam.
Yeah.
And it's very clear in the beginning of the movie, once everybody gets there, that Camp Hope is not a camp for fat kids to lose weight. It is a camp for fat kids to go and not feel ostracized by society. Whether or not that was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
In the beginning. And Salami Sam he doesn't give a shit like at all. And he's kind of the low-key weird hero of that crew, with the exception
he's the ladies man.
Yeah, for real, which is strange.
Yeah.
And then with the one guy who wearing the beret and the Les Mis shirt. I'm just I'm like, I think even if I was a part of this group, I'd probably beat him up.
What was his name? The British kid.
No, not the British kid.
No, the one you're talking about, the one with the glasses. That's right.
Yeah. He's the one who spills the beans on the contraband smuggling. Which is
chipmunks download.
Yep. The chocolate.
It was so fucking genius too. The fucking bedpost and shit at the top. Oh my god! So
the chocolate on Philip's stomach.
Oh, Philip, that was his name.
That'll turn your
crikey.
Yeah.
This is not not sanitary.
No, I love they actually talk about it though. Yeah. They're like, this is terrible. This is horrible, and this is not sanitary in any way, shape, or form. But we're fat. The movie, the movie is the movie's perfect. It really is. I think it is 100% indicative of the era in which it was made. I think it is certainly just like Wet Hot as the who's who of the comedy troops like that would go on to essentially write and in a lot of cases perform every comedy classic from like 97 to 2012, like all like the really big ones, including
that's a good time period because I feel like that's when it kind of died.
It definitely did, including things like Parks and Rec. I think that was kind of like the end of it, really. Although all those actors are still working.
Yeah.
They're just, albeit not together. And I think this was the who's who of 90s children's entertainment, because you with the massive Mighty Ducks presence.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of these guys would go on to, like, I remember watching it I don't know, probably for the first, or not the first, but after I'd already seen it probably 100 times. And as I started to get older and I'd go back and revisit, I was like, is this a Sandler? Like, is this like a sneaky Sandler movie?
Well, and you get Alan Covert too as the cameraman.
Right. And that's kind of what did it. Cause I never saw him in anything other than
Adam Sandler,
a Sandler movie.
Or a Happy Madison production per se.
Right. And then once you look at it, really, like, I know Stiller's been a part of it. But like in Paul Feig, he's in it.
Yeah.
Before he lost his fucking mind
and started directing movies,
horrible movies that should not be named, considering we're going to cover.
That at some point.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows.
Yeah, if you know, you know. And if you don't agree with us, this is not your podcast.
Unless you live in the Bahamas. Shout out.
I mean, yeah. Apparently the Bahamas people, they like the Bahamians.
All right.
They like what we have to sell. Heavyweights, the best
camp movie of all time. No question about it. If you disagree, I'd be more than happy to hear what you disagree on.
I would say it's probably the best camp movie for our generation.
Yeah. But if you disagree, feel free to elaborate in the comments on YouTube. Email the show, popyourculture@gmail.com. Who Popped Your Culture was way too long for an email. And You're Popped on Twitter. And Who Popped Your Culture on Instagram. Be sure to follow all that shit. MudaMerch.com. The brainchild of my illustrious co-host, the great Chuck Mudarsky.
Yeah, we get a little weird over there, but
it's fine.
It's quality stuff, and for some reason, tpublic.com is running sales like every day, which is of a great benefit to the consumer.
Which is why we moved solely to there and not continued on with the Pro Wrestling Tees conglomerate that charges way too much for t-shirts. But
you can choose your own color. You can choose your own
style,
everything. So
stickers, coffee mugs,
everything.
Phone
Represent.
cases. Yes, we love it. We love you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We will be back July 31st with something we haven't figured out yet.
Yeah.
We'll announce it on social media. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next month with something else. Onward. Godspeed. God bless.